All right. Hey, everyone. Thank you for hopping in. I am Matt Moody, and we are here to go through the Tuesday, April 1st NHL DFS slate. Yes, it is April 4th, or Jesus Christ, 4-1. I had down 331 because I don't know what today is. And yes, I do realize it is the April Fool's NHL DFS slate. Um, in conjointment with that, I've actually prepared a quote fuckery index for each game of the 10 on Tuesday evening. So that'll fit in nicely with the April Fool's theme here on the Morningscape podcast. But anyway, I will be doing this show solo. I know DJ tweeted something out earlier. I will spare any details, but just keep DJ and his family in your thoughts. And he'll be back when he is, ready and able to pitch in here. But I'm more than happy to carry the load in the lean days as we wind down the regular season here and head in toward the playoffs. Um, and yeah, so that is what we will be doing here. I was pleasantly surprised to see that on the Tuesday slate, there is 10K to first over on DraftKings in the $20. The 444 is pretty small, the standard for MLB season. But hey, it's fine. It's 10K to first too, and that's about as good as it'll get. So pretty happy with the contests on Tuesday on DraftKings. So hopefully we can get those filled, and we can keep getting those for at least Tuesdays and maybe Thursdays. We'll see about Thursdays with golf and baseball. All day slates and stuff that tend to be on Thursdays. But hey, it's nice to have one day a week at least where we can get five figures in the title of the podcast, right? So all this, and I didn't even set up the rainbow chart. That is annoying. So Tuesday though is going to be, I guess, highlighted by the what seems imminent NHL debuts of both Ryan Leonard and Jimmy Snuggerud. For the time being, neither one is on the DraftKings DFS slate, so that's a bit unfortunate. But we'll talk a little bit about their roles and how they profile coming out of college, because not all prospects are created equal. We know this, but maybe that'll be something that we can get to in more of a sports betting perspective. I have no idea if the books are going to offer lines on guys like Ryan Leonard and Snuggerud in their NHL debuts, but if you recall, they did for, say, Yanni Newman, who obviously was less of a household name, but had the sort of, I guess you would say, underlying like shootiness metrics and point production metrics overseas prior to his arrival in the NHL and the AHL, and then carried that through with strong AHL performances into the pro ranks. So like, if we do get things such as goal scorer odds, I know for Newman especially, they were incredibly weak. So a lot of it's dependent on role. You can't just play anyone into any spot. But at the end of the day, everything's going to come with a good price, or everything's going to come with a price. It's up to us to determine whether that's a good price or not. So that is certainly not something that DraftKings right now is willing to offer us at the moment, at least. Whether we get a 2,500 or 3,500, Jimmy Snuggerud is of interest. I would certainly not complain if we were to say get that addition to the slate. But for right now, those two who I think are the most fun, I guess Zeev Buium is maybe the most fun because he actually could step into a legitimate role right away. But, do we really trust the Wild? I don't know. But those two, I think, are sort of the cream of the crop as far as guys who we're expecting to enter the NHL and have an instant impact. And both are doing so on Tuesday night, allegedly. All right, enough vamping. I did the rainbow chart. Let's show that bad boy as we get into this 10 gamer. Share that screen. Take this, move it over, and the magic. Look at that. Look at that magic, folks. Gotta zoom in because yeah, that's how this works. All right, how's that? Date matchup April 1st. Great, great. Very ominous here. So on this 10 gamer, we have Washington at Boston. Like I mentioned, Washington likely to debut Ryan Leonard. I guess Washington is playing on a back-to-back here, and I think if they were debuting anywhere except for Boston, that Leonard would not play until Wednesday. But we'll talk about that obviously. First off, we have Florida at Montreal, a rematch of the Sunday game that went in favor of the Canadians. The Canadians hosting now. Pretty interesting there. Buffalo heads into Ottawa. Ottawa, of course, still fighting for the playoffs. Buffalo doing their thing where they're out of it, but hey, look at we can score again because we learned how to play hockey in the last 2 weeks. Great, good job, Sabres. Nashville heads into Columbus. Columbus scratching and clawing their way back into the playoff picture. Nashville, whatever the opposite of that is, if they're doing it, just lost in Philly 2-1 on Monday evening. Tampa at the Islanders, a rematch of a drubbing that Tampa laid on the Islanders on Saturday. Detroit at St. Louis. Detroit still clinging on to playoff hopes. St. Louis continuing to take all skulls. I mean, they are they're just beating everyone. They are, I think I wanted to say they were almost like minus 500 now to make the playoffs, something crazy. Yeah, it's not listed because Calgary's in action tonight, but an incredible run that the Blues are on here, and they're going to be introducing Jimmy Snuggerud into their lineup. Calgary heads into Utah. Calgary on a back-to-back. Looks like they are losing to Colorado as I record this. San Jose against Anaheim. San Jose playing back-to-back Saturday, Sunday, getting absolutely walloped in both games. Anaheim potentially losing Troy Terry with no news. Jacob Trouba missing, like just absolute gong show all around here. And with that in mind, I'm going to bump that game up in my fuckery index that I had written down because I think my scores were too low. But we will get to those as we go through the games. Edmonton, Vegas. Just two good teams here. Nothing to see. We got some news updates, but also some news we're waiting for out of this game. And then lastly, Winnipeg and LA. LA hosting. Alex Laferriere could return. Otherwise, two good teams, both pretty healthy at the moment. So let's start things off with the Washington at Boston game. Washington here is listed as a minus 218 favorite on the road, 5.5 total. We do not know what the lines are going to be for Washington. Like I mentioned, Ryan Leonard is likely to make his NHL debut here. I'm just going to blow up this so that we can see a little bit more clearly what the lines are at the moment. Last game, when they lost 8-5 against the Sabres, they rolled out Protas, Strome, Tom Wilson, Anthony Beauvillier, PLD, Alex Ovechkin, Taylor Radish, Eller, Mangiapane, Duhaime, Nick Dowd, Connor McMichael. That means I have genuinely no idea where Ryan Leonard is going to play. I listened to a full 5-minute Carberry press conference this evening because, I don't have anything better to do. And he basically was like, yeah, like the top 6 is getting changed up because I'm not happy with it. And, we're not doing the little things right to win. And so I think it's interesting that Beauvillier basically replaced McMichael in the top 6. It's possible that we get Ryan Leonard alongside PLD and Ovi. I don't necessarily think that's a good line. I don't really want PLD playing with Ovi until Ovi gets the goals record at the very least, because Ryan Leonard does project as a very, very shot dominant player. If you're on the YouTube, which by the way, this is over on YouTube on DJ's YouTube channel, you can see the visuals that I'm sharing. But Ryan Leonard does not have a DFS price tag. Based on his college stats from this year, though, he is an ungodly shot generator and volume monster. This is a former 8th overall pick from the 2023 draft. He is Corey Pronman's 38th best prospect. 38th best U23 player in the NHL. Yeah, this guy has a massive upside. He's got the perfect fantasy game. You're going to hear the lazy comp of Brady Tkachuk, and I don't generally think that they play the same way, but or stylistically. But from a fantasy standpoint, it's very possible that they have a similar, similar setup as far as their main shot, their main tool is their shot, but they're going to beat you with volume, not necessarily by finishing ability. But I think Leonard is going to be a downgrade on the hits and upgrade on the talent department there. Playmaking, everything else. Like Brady brings a bunch of it to the table. I think Leonard brings more of it. And so I'm really interested to see if he works his way into the top 6 in Washington either Tuesday or heading into the playoffs. Clearly, Alexei Protas isn't going anywhere, and we have the 4 power play 1 guys in Strome, Wilson, Dubois, Ovi. But McMichael has bounced from third to second line all season. If they're using Anthony Beauvillier up there, they're getting desperate. So it's possible. I'm not staking my claim to it at the moment because again, I don't really think a Leonard Dubois Ovi line makes much sense, like stylistically speaking. But it's in the cards. I think what makes the most sense is they replace Taylor Radish on the third line, and he just plays, 11 minutes alongside Eller and Mangiapane, while Duhaime, Dowd, and McMichael, play 13 to 14 minutes in their normal role, and then the top 6 gets their normal, 17, 18 minutes. So I don't think Leonard's in a great spot for like fantasy purposes, but I think he's too good of a player and too good of a prospect to completely ignore. So just make sure that some book out there isn't hanging soft lines on him, be it plus 700 to score a goal, or insane like minus 125 on 2 shots, like they did for Yanni Newman in Seattle the other week, because that could be a pretty profitable spot against Boston in particular, who we know is not really going to offer up much of a fight. They're just sort of a dead team walking at the moment. Looking back at the rainbow chart for just a second, the Washington trends are a bit down offensively, but Boston defensively has not been very good. No surprises there. And they're giving up goals in bushels. And Washington, of course, is managing to outscore those problems. On the Boston side, they've just been terrible. Washington's not giving up much chances, but they are giving up goals, as seen by the Sabres scoring 8 on them. I can't, in good conscience, suggest any of these Boston Bruins. Elias Lindholm had popped there for a minute. He's back down at 6.5 expected fantasy points per game. He was up at like 9-10, a week ago. So certainly local maximum there. Not anything that I think we can write home to. And no one else on the team besides Pastrnak is above 7 expected fantasy points per game over their last 10. And only Morgan Geekie is above 7 actual fantasy points per game last 10. Pasta is 8,400. Zaka, Geekie, Pastrnak is a combined 17.9K. I'm just not interested here. If I were to do anything, maybe it's Lindholm, Fabian, Lysell. Lysell is 2,500. He's a decent prospect, a former first rounder, had pretty good AHL stats, but he came up. He's played like 6 games. He has no points and like 9 shots on goal. He's just gotten more shot attempts, though. That 9 shots on goal is pretty poor for the attempts he's getting, but it's not like he's getting glorious chances playing with Kuznetsov and Elias Lindholm that you got to jam at the minimum. Just move on from Boston. No problems there. Florida at Montreal, a pretty interesting one. I might be biased here because it was very profitable for me on Sunday, but Montreal has better trends than Florida. Florida just has straight up not looked very good in the last stretch of games. Coincidentally enough, the second Aaron Ekblad went out and Seth Jones was asked to fill his void. They couldn't do it. They just simply can't score right now. I don't really think that's Seth Jones's fault. I actually did take a look under the hood at some of his like shot attempt shares and whatnot. And he had a few bad games, 6, 7 games ago. He had a stretch of 3 games where he was at like 38% shots percentage and, something below 50 expected goals. But generally, it's been positive for him. Now he's playing with Gus Forsling, so, it's a pretty easy role. But it does seem like this is a bit more of just a bad luck thing on Seth Jones in particular. For the team, though, they're not generating much by way of offense at 5-on-5. So heading into this matchup where they are going to be, uh, significantly favored, and he's 6.5 total, minus 192 favorites. I feel like they just got to show it to me. We have Reinhart, Barkov, or Hagee projected top line, 22.6K. What is Carter Verhaeghe doing at 7,300? I have no idea. I mean, this guy looks lost out there. He's not producing. The underlyings are fine, 10.5 expected fantasy points per game. But this is a player who for years has been much better than this, and he just looks lost. He couldn't find the net with a map with most of his shot attempts. Like it's really brutal stuff. And only 7 actual fantasy points per game last 10, continuing a season-long stretch of just being completely unproductive. Not a clue why he's 7,300, but congratulations in advance when 11% owned Carter Verhaeghe goes for 38 points on this April Fool's DFS slate. Reinhart continues to shoulder most of the load offensively for this team. He's been great. I think you could dip down to the second line of Samoskevich, Bennett, Marchand. I have a sense that's what the field will be doing, though. 17.4K for that stack. Samoskevich and Bennett, both top power play. Marchand has been good. He's played a couple games now in Florida, coming off of injury. And he had a 20 expected fantasy point game his first game. So that makes his most recent one like an 8 or 9 pointer, which is fine. No shame in putting up that sort of number, but just know that this is only a 2-game sample where he has 13.2 expected fantasy points per game and 7.5 actuals. The reason I was looking at Seth Jones, 5,900, I saw a 9.44 expected fantasy point per game mark and was surprised. That's a bit higher than I thought it would be. The 7.3 actual mark is about what I expected. And I just think in general, this team is too expensive, what they've been. They're definitely going to roll 4 lines with Erod down to the 4th line. Lundell with Sarainen on the 3rd line. Obviously, probably slow playing Marchand a bit. I just think this is too expensive for DFS. We'll see if the field agrees. I suspect, given the team total is going to approach, the 4 mark, given the total and their money line, that the field is going to flock to this spot, and I just have no interest. So I'm pretty interested to see what occurs here, because on the Montreal side, I'm not, spectacularly interested in them. Like I think this is in their favor, which by the way, I'm just fixing. For some reason, Natural Stat Trick has gone woke, and Uri Slavkovsky now has the apostrophe above the Y in his name. The accent mark, or whatever that would be called. But I need to fix that manually every time. And it's very annoying because I haven't added it to my macro yet that fixes these things, much like the Timmy Stutzla, where it's a check mark and ampersand or whatever the hell I need to fix every time. So I haven't fixed that for Slavkovsky yet. Anyway, the top line in Montreal is just 16.8K, and they've been outstanding. Suzuki and Slavkovsky in particular have just been absolutely dominant. I mean, again, I've been saying this for multiple weeks now. With Patrick Laine in, you can just leave Cole Caulfield off and feel pretty good about your stacking. Caulfield should not be the most expensive member of this line, but even at 6,100, if he gets no ownership and a 6.5 total, I'm okay with it. But I'm much more likely to just go 5,300 Suzuki, 5,400 Slavkovsky, and consider mixing in a 4,400 Lane Hudson, or just playing the 2-man stack, or just one-offs of Suzuki or Slavkovsky. This line is playing all the minutes, 20 minutes a night, absolutely dominant. Like, for weeks now. Slavkovsky's just been on a different planet with his game. So I don't think these season long stats really do him justice. But even then, he's above average fantasy or DK points per 60, and he's a long term producer as well. So the shot attempts are there, the volume's there, just the vibes are there for Montreal and for Slavkovsky in particular. With no Josh Waugh in the lineup, they moved Emil Heineman up to the Newhook Laine line. It's interesting, especially with Michael Pezzetta as like the 12th forward. He's going to play like 4 minutes. In practice, though, you can't really just play the second line because they're the guys whose minutes are going to get cut along with Pezzetta. So like you're probably playing 1 or 2 of them at most, just as sort of a one-off and hope to hit something. Heineman just simply not been very good since he's come back from his car accident injury. So, shout out to the people who want to come flame me for calling a guy out with a unfortunate circumstances of his own, but he was awesome for the first half of the year and just has really fallen off since then. What can you do? Newhook Laine, again, this line is 11K. It's fine, but I don't think you're full stacking it anywhere. Caden Gooley's back for Montreal, which I think is a decently big deal just for defensive purposes. Like he's good. I showed the 10-game trends, and it's not like you need a ton of help to say Montreal's fine, but like I think Gooley only helps them be a actual good NHL team. Matheson, Carrier, sure, whatever. Brendan Gallagher, Dvorak, Josh Anderson is legitimately interesting for sub $10,000. This is a line that you can full stack, and I have no problem with it. Gallagher getting Gallagher getting a solid power play run at the moment. Dvorak and Anderson have kind of flipped off. I'm not sure who's going to be the one there. My guess is Dvorak, but not too concerned because the 5-on-5 role for these guys is really solid. You're going to get 16 minutes of these guys in most circumstances, and they're all so cheap, and they all have pretty decent track records for fantasy production that if you're looking for a cheap way to stack or mini stack the Montreal side, because you agree with me, like, hey, I want, exposure to this team that the field is just not going to be paying much mind to, I think this is a perfectly good option. Brendan Gallagher has turned back the clock in some sense. 11 expected fantasy points per game for him, which, 5 years ago, you'd be like, yeah, that's pretty normal. What does he get? Like 2 actual fantasy points? Because, that's the Brendan Gallagher experience. But no, he's actually been quite good. He's at 9 actuals, which isn't 11, but it's still good. And for 3,700, it makes sense. You add a line mate that is a 3K, basically. It all makes sense, I think. So no problems there. Playing a goalie here makes sense too. Sam Montembeault, 7,200. Like I'm pretty in on Montreal on this slate in general. By the way, I set up my fuckery index sheet here, and I did not read it off. The Washington-Boston game. Washington, I graded them an 8, 10 being the most fuckery, and 1's impossible because it's the NHL. There's always going to be some fuckery, but 2 is the least possible fuckery. And I gave Boston a 3 because largely who cares? 1, they practiced today, so we have these lines, but 2, who cares? So yeah, Washington's an 8 because Ryan Leonard could go anywhere in this lineup, and I would not be surprised. Florida, I gave them a 4 for the fuckery. I don't think there's much else you can do until Matt Tkachuk comes back, and I think they're just biding their time. So I think what you see here is what we're going to get. Montreal, I graded them a 2 because I truly do not think they change up anything. Why should they? They just beat Florida, and now they're headed home. And I don't think Josh Waugh makes a huge difference. I don't think he's going to draw back in. Anyway, so that is the update through 2 games. Next up, we have Buffalo at Ottawa. Oh boy, the Stoner. What has the Stoner got for me? Yep. What up, Stoner? Yes, Lane Hudson, 3 assists last game, the best. I am going solo. DJ did not get arrested. And, that is a decision for you to make there, Stoner. I cannot tell you the best way to use the index. All right, Buffalo at Ottawa. Let's get back into that. Buffalo not looking too solid, of course, with their underlying expecteds. Uh, they're not generating much quantity either. Ottawa's been perfectly average defensively, which is really pleasing. It's almost too pleasing. If I stretch this out another decimal, is it still 0? Nope, it is. Wow, look at that. Look at that, folks. Look at that. 0.00 on the indexes above average defensively for both expected goals and Corsi's against, but it's not broken. Otherwise, it would be 0.0000, and it'd be like, oh, it's referencing a blank. Yes, I've spent too much of my life in Microsoft Excel. Thank you for noticing. But yeah, Ottawa, perfectly average matchup. Buffalo scoring like crazy at the moment. They found something in Jack Quinn. He's back. We've saved him. Yeah, that's my interest in this game. JJ Paterka, Ryan McLeod, Jack Quinn. Just keep riding the horses. 14.4K for that line. They look awesome on the ice. They've been Buffalo's best players for 2 weeks now. And Ryan McLeod is a certified alpha. So, Tage is cool. He sometimes scores goals, but I don't think you can trust either of his line mates in the way that I trust all three of Paterka, McLeod, Quinn. Jack Quinn has especially ramped up his game to a whole new degree. The confidence is back, and you love to see that from guys who make a living in the offensive zone. Buffalo here, though, and a 6.5 total is a plus 170 underdog. So, certainly not going to have a huge team total here or anything. Rasmus Dahlin, 6,400. His price is trending slightly downward. He's been dealing with a bit of an illness. He certainly did not look full strength against Washington. Despite them scoring 8 goals, he didn't do much. I'm not sure what his stat line was, but he didn't look very good, and again, he missed Saturday's game because he was sick, and, Sunday you're not just going to magically recover. So maybe a few days out, he's better, but something to note there. Tuck, Krebs, Zucker, that is a 13.9K line. Whatever. Peyton Krebs is whatever at the minimum. And yeah, that's about all I've got in this game. Paterka, McLeod, Quinn is my area of interest, but they are not power play correlated. Only JJ on the top power play. On the Ottawa side, they had quite the weekend. On Sunday they got shut out by Tristan Jarry and the Penguins in a 1-0 Pittsburgh Penguins game. I don't even know how you do that. In all honesty, I do not know how these two teams, especially the Pittsburgh Penguins, play in a 65-minute game and have 1 goal between the two clubs. But hey, that's Ottawa Senators hockey for you. And the day before that, they eked out a victory against Columbus, who gave them everything they had and some on a back-to-back, and they just kind of weathered the storm, kind of just parked the bus through it. So interesting weekend for them, I guess. But they do seem to be pretty safely in the playoffs. Right now, though, we're looking at kind of weird lines. Kachuk, Pinto, and Ridley Gregg on the top line, if you can call it that. They're not even cheap. It's 18K, and Shane Pinto's not even on a power play. Like, okay. Perron, Cousins, Batherson, 16K. Cousins and Batherson are going to be giga chalk if the last few slates have any indication there. I want to say Cousins and Batherson were like 30 to 40% owned on Sunday. And that was a smaller slate, of course, but it's just showing you where the projection's coming on this team. And then we have Stützle, Claude Giroux, and Fabian Zetterlund, who they are 16K. And that is some of the most laughably overpriced prices I've ever seen. So, congratulations there, but no thank you. These guys are all pretty awful for fantasy, and the fourth line is non-existent. Thomas Chabot has taken over as a rates guy over the last 10. Sanderson, not so much. Whatever. I guess these guys are just in a yin and yang here down the stretch. But yeah, whatever. So it goes. I have no interest in the Ottawa Senators. They do not play a fun brand of hockey. Stacking them is gross. I don't know. If I don't play them against the Pittsburgh Penguins of all spots, I'm certainly not playing them against a Buffalo Sabres team that just seems pretty blah at the moment. There's no like obvious injury spots or anything that Buffalo offers up. So I'm just going to trust the numbers here, trust the trends, and just say, Ottawa, no thank you. Take your 3.8 team total and shove it. My fuckery index here, 2 for the Sabres. The vibes are high. Jack Quinn it's Jack Quinning. I don't see anything in the lineup that's really going to change here of note. So that's the lowest possible score for them. And Ottawa's a 5 because I do not know what the hell this top line is with Kachuk, Pinto, and Greg. That very well could change. Again, they got shut out by the Pittsburgh Penguins last game. And we could go back to something like Stützle, Giroux, or Stützle, Zetterlund, or who knows. But yeah, that is why I give Ottawa a 5. All right. Over to Nashville at Columbus. The revenge of Nick Blankenberg makes its way into Columbus, Ohio here. On a back-to-back, Nashville did roll 11-7 on Monday evening with both Colton Sissons and Jonathan Marchessault out of the lineup. I did want to note that Matthew Wood signed with the team and I thought could draw in, but apparently based on reporting we have from earlier today, he's not even joined the team yet. So I guess I would be surprised if he was just waiting for them in Columbus. I guess it's possible. But he's a college guy. God, I want to say he transferred. He was at UConn because he was following the Tage route, and then he transferred to maybe Minnesota or something like that. Anyway, he looks fine. He looks pretty good from a college perspective. Nothing unbelievable. Certainly not of the level of a Ryan Leonard or even a Snuggerud, but if he does draw in, he will be relevant. But we'll talk about that at some point in the future. Nashville, on a back-to-back, on the road. I think I'm finally managing to quit my Philip Forsberg addiction. He looked completely disinterested in Philadelphia. The last time I said that, he put up, I think, 42 DraftKings points on a slate. I think it was last Thursday, and absolutely punished me, but whatever. Nashville looks dead. Jonathan Marchessault out. I mean, they just have nothing. They have nothing going for them. Columbus has been giving everyone in their schedule at least a hard time. They're not necessarily scoring, and they're certainly giving up a ton of goals against. But chances have been hard to come by. So I'm just obviously very concerned about Nashville here. Forsberg, O'Reilly, Stamkos did play a lot together. Forsberg has great underlings. He shoots a lot. Oh, great. Good for him. Less than 20K for these guys who should all play 20 minutes. Luke Evangelista slid up onto the top power play in the stead of Jonathan Marchessault. If you really wanted a lens into this Nashville side, I would take a look there at 4,100. Now take a look at 3,200 Nick Blankenberg. Blankenberg, again, we've talked about him several times here now, but he's a pretty average looking fantasy asset in general. But he's currently installed on the top power play unit. He's been quite productive for this team. He's certainly better than Brady Shea. And the revenge narrative. He started his career with Columbus in odd fashion. It was not Nashville letting the completely usable player go on waivers for nothing. It was Columbus who let him go. So I guess there's some narrative there. But yeah, nothing else on the lineup of interest stands out to me, barring further news or pregame warm-ups or anything like that. By the way, Annunen started in net for Nashville, so we should get UC Saros in this one. Speaking of the goaltending matchup, Columbus gets this nice matchup with Nashville. It looks fine on trends, but in general, we're worried about pricing here because Monahan, Marchenko, Voronkov are 15.4K. Both Monahan and Marchenko top power play. Johnson, Jenner, Fantilli are also 16.4K on this slate, which is actually, there are 1,000 more, sorry. 15.4 for 16.4. But we also get Johnson and Jenner on the top power play with Adam Fantilli. And then we get Werenski as sort of the top dog do-it-all guy. 7,500 on defense. He is back to putting everything on net. He's just an awesome player. And Columbus is going to give him, 28, 29 minutes if this game is remotely competitive because they need the 2 points. And so I think that's certainly something worth considering on this slate. Is just how reliable Zach Werenski is from a night-to-night outcome basis. You're not going to get cheated on Werenski like you could some of these other teams that don't have as much to play for, where minutes will get cut or roles just disappear for no reason. Let's see. We got a question. Will Elvis be in the net? I have no idea. He's listed as being in the net because I assume so, but again, I don't know. Not super worried about it. All right. Down the lineup, not a ton. Just whatever. Now that the team's back at full strength, we're not really going to get much popping by way of values. That's just the way it goes. And the top six is so cheap that, like, what do you need the bottom six for? So my slight preference is toward the Marchenko, Monahan, Voronkov line. If I were to do something, I think it would be a Marchenko, Werenski. Monahan's not looked fantastic since coming off of injury. If you recall, before he got hurt, he was up in like the 13 to 14 expected fantasy point per game range. He's at 6 right now. The actuals look that way too. Marchenko has had some zip though, so like I think you're okay to take him without Monahan. You're okay to stack it, but I don't have a ton of interest in stacking Columbus here. By the way, I guess I could have pulled up the line on this game. 5.5 minus 162 for the Columbus Blue Jackets. Imagine preseason, I told you the Columbus Blue Jackets were favored 162 over anybody in the NHL. I don't know if you'd have believed me. All right. My fuckery index. Nashville is a 7. It would be a 10, but frankly, it's the Nashville Predators, and I can't bring myself to care about them. I think this lineup gets completely torpedoed, and we'll just see what the remnants are come Tuesday warm-ups. And Columbus, I gave a 4. So not expecting much to change here, but there could be minor things that change on the margins. So yeah, a 4. Sure. Tampa at the Islanders. Tampa is on the road minus 175 favorite and a 6.5 total per DraftKings Sportsbook. On the rainbow sheet, we see Tampa with a pretty positive matchup, both offensively and the Islanders defensively, just across the board, all positive for Tampa in terms of expected goals, Corsi's, and actual goals at 5-on-5, not to speak of the power play mismatch, which is gigantic, especially in this matchup, where the Islanders have arguably the worst special teams in the NHL, and Tampa arguably has the best. So Tampa, pretty good matchup here. The Islanders, though, look okay at 5-on-5. We'll dig a little bit deeper into some of that, but even generating quality in a way that doesn't necessarily isn't necessarily backed up by their attempt rate or by their actual conversion rate. On the Tampa side of the puck, Gensel, Point, Kucherov, that line is 22.5K. Hagel, Cirelli, Nick Paul. Hagel was on the top power play most recently, but that could change at a drop of a hat back to Oliver Bjorkstrand or to some other weird configuration. Hagel, Cirelli, Paul is 15.1K. For you people who care about this, Nick Paul, new dad, first kid this week, maybe even over the weekend. So he is traveling with the team, though. At least he got on the team plane, so I assume he's playing. And then Gonçalves, Yanni Gord, Bjorkstrand, third line. Gord and Bjorkstrand are both cheap enough to where I think you can get away with it. I don't know if I'm stacking them necessarily for 8,000 as a mini stack, but they're going to see minutes, especially if it's 11-7. If you wanted to play something like Yanni Gord, Bjorkstrand, and Kucherov, they're going to at least play a shift or two together, I would think, and they might get some power play time when Kucherov doesn't change for the power play. Just remember that this team runs through Nikita Kucherov. He's the NHL's first star of the week, or maybe even first star of the month. I don't know, whatever. But Kucherov's been on an absolute bender. Everything runs through him. 8,700 and a positive matchup is simply not expensive enough. Kucherov is bordering on must play on Tuesday slate. Gensel, Point, both look fine for their prices. I'm a bit less inclined to go to the second line, but Victor Hedman looks pretty good too at 6,000. He's been quite solid, and he's not a guy you need to worry about in a 7D setup. He gets his regardless of how they deploy their roster. On the Islanders side, Palmieri, Horvat, Holmstrom, Duclair, Pajot, Lee, Pollock, Dobson, Pellick, D'Angelo. That all, I think, sticks. I believe we do not have a practice that is based off of. But you know, they've been okay. And I mean, what are you going to do? Are you going to move Siplikov back up the lineup? Okay, maybe. But are you going to move Mike Riley back into the lineup for, I don't know, Tony D'Angelo? Like maybe, but probably not. Engvall had 2 goals against Carolina, which was just, I found it immensely amusing. Engvall, Zikas, Fashing played like 16 minutes, 7,800 total line stack. I mean, just hilarious stuff that Pierre Engvall gets benched all year long. And in a must-win game, he's like, "Hey, coach, I got 2 goals for you," and they still get absolutely clobbered by by the Hurricanes because that's Islanders hockey, baby. Adam Boqvist is interesting at 2,700. He specifically was put in the lineup for his power play role, I suppose. What the hell is the stoner? I hate that I don't like track everything down as I am saying. Okay, that is. But okay, I must have said I don't care about something because he said, "Of course I care, Daddy points prop bets." Of course I care, Daddy, comma points prop bets. Yeah, that makes more sense. I'll have to watch again because I did not hear the player name. I wonder which god awful player I made a passing reference to being a useful option here that someone's going to lose way too much money on Tuesday, because that'll be an interesting one to follow. So stay tuned. If you when I listen back, I'll see who I maybe made reference to there. Anyway, Boqvist on the power play 2,700 seems reasonable. Again, the price, the role, like it's all set up for him. I can't imagine there's too many $2,700 power play guys getting between 16 to 18 minutes, maybe. So that is interesting. Romanov might be my favorite, like, 2-way defenseman on this team. So that partnership seems like it's good for Boqvist as well. And of course, long-standing love fest with Adam Boqvist, just given his prospect pedigree and whatnot. I mentioned Siplikov. He seems ripe to move up the lineup, but right now he's playing with Kyle McLean and Mark Gatcomb. So congratulations on that role. Tough. Let's keep it going. The fuckery index here, by the way, Tampa a 3, not much there, and the Islanders are a 7. Yes, there could be Patrick Waugh induced madness on this slate here. Detroit at St. Louis. St. Louis taking on all comers. St. Louis beating all comers. Just playing very solid brand of hockey at the moment. Maybe doing so a little bit unsustainably, but I would say any 9-game win streak is going to be unsustainable. And defensively is where they're making their bread. So not going to spend a ton of time unpacking why St. Louis has been so dominant. But I will just point you to the Detroit side of the lineup and say no thank you. Alex Abrincat, Larkin, and Kane are a line, 19.7K. Power play correlated, so on and so on. The problem is Marco Kasper is the best player on this team, and so you're kind of wasting the Brinket, Larkin, and Kane by making them play with each other. Rasmussen, Kasper, Raymond, just not enough oomph there to do it for me in this matchup. But that second line is 13.4K if you desperately need something. I don't know why you would, but it's there. And Simon Edvinsson continues to get priced up despite not having a chance for us to use him in a new power play role with Gustafsson done for the year. 4,500, just hilarious. Whatever, not playing it. St. Louis, Bushnevich, Thomas, Neighbors, Holloway, Shen, Kairu. Both of those are isolated to their own power play units. The Holloway, Shen, Kairu line gets Falk and Jimmy Snuggerud on their top power play. Um, Again, this is going to be a 1A, 1B situation, and who knows what Snuggerud's, I guess, actual 5-on-5 role turns into and what the point props are and whatnot. Again, because he's not on the DraftKings DFS slate. But Snuggerud does profile as a shot first player, a very good point producer. I found it curious that he didn't really level up his game in the college ranks year to year this season. I'm not in the know enough to know whether there was injury concerns or anything like that, but I do believe Snuggerud could have come out of school last year and opted to go back. And so, it was talked about. Obviously, he could have come out of school whenever, but he was like gonna be offered an NHL job had he come out of school and he went back. And maybe he was just that much better that you can't really level up too far. But for example, Ryan Leonard did level up his game. He went from 4 shots a game to 5 shots a game, and increased his point total. Snuggerud did not do that. I believe he actually finished with a worse point total than last year. Doesn't make him bad, but I found that curious. He's playing with Sundqvist and Bolduc at 5-on-5. Like, I don't know. I'm not that excited by it. I'll pull some better comps together as far as like what their actual college performances look like, and compare it to other NHL players, for example, of the same ilk, and just sort of see what names pop up. And I'll share that in the Discord on Tuesday. But I don't think I'll find myself like playing Snuggerud, like even if he was offered on the DFS slate or anything like that. Like, I would rather just play Holloway and Cairo and just be like, yeah, I'm spending more money, but like I know these guys are certified alphas. I don't think Snuggerud's taking either of their jobs or the jobs of Neighbors or Vucevic for that matter. So I just think you're kind of blocked here, unlike with Leonard, where right now there's a clear path in the top 6 open for Washington. So that's St. Louis. Bolduc is moderately interesting. He's going to have the power play of Thomas, Buchnevich, Neighbors, and Cam Fowler. He's 4K. He's been scoring. I think he has something like 10 goals since the Four Nations. So pretty good stuff there from Bolduc. But let's keep going. Calgary and Utah. Calgary, let's see. Do we have any updates from this game that is ongoing as I speak? 2-0. Okay, Calgary cannot score as expected. All right. Calgary's, the trends look okay. We'll check for an update on Tuesday, though, to make sure the back-to-back and the Colorado game don't change that dramatically. Calgary shooting a ton. Calgary not scoring a ton. That sounds familiar. Speaking of which, Nazem Kadri is actually the one player scoring right now. 6,800. He's a great play. I think Utah is pretty overrated at the moment. So if the field is going to be like all in on Utah and not so much on Calgary, I would at least consider like some Kadri, maybe some Coronado. This game is listed as a 5.5. Utah minus 180 favorites at the moment, so not going to be much team total there to speak of. Kadri is 6,800, 14 expected points per game, 15 actuals. Like, just a crazy run from him, putting the team on his back in every sense of the word. Sharon Govich and Pospisil are pretty useless, so 15K for that line doesn't interest me much. Coronado, Frost, Huberdeau. It's kind of like, well, yeah, you're getting 3 power play 1 guys, but you're getting these 3 power play 1 guys, and it's Uyghur and Kadri who are going to take 60% of the power play shots. So, like, how much is the secondary assist worth to you? I don't know. If I were playing it, I would probably do something like Kadri, Coronado, Uyghur, or something like that. Power play stack it across the lines. Huberdeau has been fine, 5,500. Probably the right price, though. Not getting a super value for the uptick in his play over the last 10 games or so. Down the lineup, not much of anything that I want to speak to. So Dustin Wolf should start. Vladar, I believe, got the call in Colorado. So expecting Wolf here on Tuesday. The Utah side. Oh, you know what? By the way, Detroit was a 4 on the index, and St. Louis a 3 on the index. Not expecting much to change in that game. 4, Utah. Keller, Cooley, Gunther. Kyler Yamamoto slots in alongside Barrett Hayton and Nick Schmaltz. Josh Stone, McBain, Krause, Bukestad, Stemland, Kerfoot. They might have even switched up the D pairs. Marino, Sergachev, Mata, Dursey. That seems different. I don't know, guys. Cooler, Keller, Cooley, Gunther are going to, I think, get a lot of ownership here. It is a 19.4K line going against a back-to-back Calgary team, leaving elevation. It's really tough for me to say no. I kind of feel like I need to die on this hill, though, that Dylan Gunther needs Barrett Hayton to do the stuff that makes Dylan Gunther good. Putting two soft guys in Keller and Cooley, who are not, they would beat me up, no problem. But they're not hockey players that'll do the work that Barrett Hayton does. Putting these three guys together and then saying, oh, Gunther at 6,800 is the absolute alpha play, to me, it just doesn't make sense. Like, I want Gunther to have the puck on his stick. I want someone whose job it is to go get the puck and give it to Dylan. That is not Cooley or Keller's game. Their game is to just pass the puck into the back of the net, and that means they have the puck the entire time. And like, I don't really want to play Gunther when his role is basically to be Patrick Laine on this Utah team. I don't know. It just doesn't sit right with me. I've been hoping it'll change, but given they're coming off of a win against Chicago, I doubt it does. So I think we're stuck with it. And so if this is an aggressive fade, I guess so be it. I'm happy to take my L. But it just strikes me as a bit overpriced for three guys who all want the puck on their stick and the rest of the lineup where there's just it's a little stinky. Kyle Yamamoto should not be in your top 6 if you are a even quasi playoff competitor. I'm sorry. That's just not how this goes. So Utah, you're getting the X for me unless you shape it up. All right. Oh my God, Stoner, you're gonna kill me here. All right. What? There's too many. There's too many to read. I'm just gonna click random ones. Unless, oh my God. Well, okay. If I'm in Garden City, Colorado for bootlegger days, I don't even know what that is, but it sounds like one hell of a time. He's going to make it his mission to get this channel to 1,000 subscribers. That's right. If you are not yet subscribed to DJ's YouTube channel, we are almost at 500. I'm hoping we can get there by the Stanley Cup. That'd be cool to go into the off season with a real YouTube channel that it offers. It just opens up like the ability to do more stuff on YouTube when we hit that number. His fellow Terminator mommy peeps will subscribe. You know what? That's great. I don't know who that is, but that's awesome. And then, yes, they are working the Mormon goalie. I don't even know, man. But you're awesome. Continue living it up in the chat here. Thank you for hanging out. All right. By the way, the indexes for this game. Calgary is an 8. I bet, that feels aggressive. I think my 8 was a little bit aggressive there. And Utah is a 4. Calgary, I am expecting them to lose this game. Okay, they just scored 2 quick ones to tie it. Literally within 2 minutes. Lomberg and Klapka. The fourth line strikes twice. All right. Yep, that index is going down to like a 5. Calgary, you are at a 5. Not much fuckery expected here. Congratulations on your eventual overtime loss to Colorado. All right. 2 more games. San Jose at Anaheim. We have, San Jose looks okay because Anaheim is playing some of the most fun hockey in the entire NHL right now. If you've not been doing yourself the favor of watching these Ducks games, maybe this one will be a bad example because San Jose actually is unwatchable. But watch Anaheim play a good team down the stretch here. Or better yet, go watch Anaheim play one of their last 3 games, and you will not recognize this team. But just go on ESPN Plus and watch the games that are in the archives. You will not recognize this Anaheim Ducks team. I don't get it. It is incredible what they are doing. So The trends look very positive. A lot of blue here, a lot of green, because they're doing a lot of stuff. They're doing a lot of the blues and the greens. Um, San Jose is, of course, completely inept, so they're just going to give up goals and bushels. They might score, they might not, but they're going to have fun while doing it. So on the San Jose side, because they're on the road here, not sure what the lines will be, given they're coming off of back-to-back clobberings at the hands of the Rangers and Kings over the weekend. But Toffoli, Celebrini, Cam Lund, Eklund, Wenberg, Will Smith, Graf, Delandria, Noah Gregor, Grunstrom, Ostapchuk, Barkley, Goodrow. Ken Yoni, I saw, got sent to the AHL. I believe Jack Thompson got called up. I don't think that's for anything on paper. Like, I think that's just a legitimate thing. So my best guess is Liljegren gets power play 1 duties. Doesn't really matter. 4,600 for him. Just kind of sucks. But Amuka Madulin is also 4,600. So, like, I don't know. Like, what are we doing here? We're just not playing San Jose. Cam Lund is kind of interesting. Top line 2,800. You look at Cameron Lund, which is what the NCAA calls him, and his shots and points are actually pretty stellar. He was the 34 overall pick in 2022. He was 2.4 times the average college player shots wise and 2 times points wise. For reference, Jimmy Snuggerud, about 2 times shots wise and 2.9 times primary points wise. So, like, pretty similar, maybe a bit more shooty for Lund. We did see it against the Kings. He actually has goals in back-to-back games now. But in that San Jose game, in that Kings game for San Jose, they got killed. So, like, whatever. Could change, but he had 14 minutes second power play time, and here it is. He had 2 attempts. Maybe it was the game before. He had a few. Let's see. Let's just take a look at this Sharks game real quick. No, he had 2 against the Sharks. Okay, whatever. I guess that would explain why Cam Lund has only 3.4 expected fantasy points per game last 10. All right, well, there's a bit of a track record to Cam Lund. I guess he's not done much at the NHL level for it, so unless this line sticks as is, he's certainly not in play. But just in general, this pricing is too much for San Jose. So let's get to the Anaheim side. Giant question mark here is Troy Terry. He left last game, did not return. There were no updates on Monday. It looked like it was team picture day, but there was no actual practice reporting, so I don't know what to make of that. But if Troy Terry does not play, that means there is a power play job open for Cutter Gauthier. And yes, I do have to say those words because it is literally April 1st, and Cutter Gauthier is not on the Anaheim Ducks power play in favor of Frank Vetrano, Ryan Strome, Troy Terry, Alex Killorn, Leo Carlson, Trevor Zegras, Mason McTavish, Sam Colangelo. There is one player on the list I would rather have on my NHL power play than Cutter, but hey, I don't get paid the big bucks to coach this Anaheim team, and this team is so fun at 5-on-5 right now that I can't really be too mad at him. So if Troy Terry misses, Cutter at 6K is genuinely in play. He's been that good. He's been absolutely everywhere on the ice. He and Leo Carlson look excellent together. They're even managing to drag around the anchor of Alex Killorn. If Troy Terry misses and Cutter, say, slides into that top line, that's even more interesting. If he gets put back with McTavish, that's even more interesting. There's a lot of ways you can get positive for Cutter, but right now the status quo is no power play time and not looking great. If Troy Terry plays, I think he's the play because he's been shooting in a way that Vetrano hasn't. Terry actually has been featured on the power play recently over Frank Vetrano. Now, last game, they recalibrated things to do Carlson, Zegras, McTavish, Colangelo as the forwards on a power play unit. But when they had McTavish, Carlson, Terry on a power play, that was without Frank Vetrano. So because of that, I do think if Terry plays, he's like the play on Anaheim. Finally, defense, Jacob Trouba could be out. I'm not sure what his status is. He missed last game. unfortunately, that kind of sucks for Olin because Zellweger and Trouba was getting a ton of run. And with Shillington, that run just kind of went to Gudis and Lacombe. But I will say at 5,000, Olin Zellweger is not going to get a ton of attention. But do not let this train leave the station because this guy is back to last year, end of year Zellweger, where he was getting involved in every play. He's ringing shots off the crossbar again. I mean, this dude's going to score 20 goals in the NHL as a defenseman, within the next 5 years. Like, he is that involved. He's that good. So don't miss this train. 5K, Olin Zellweger against the Sharks. What's nice about it is also when Trouba was in, at the very least, they played a lot with Troy Terry's line. So, you kind of got a 5-man unit in some games. So there's that too. You might luck into some extra correlation between Zellweger and Troy Terry. So we're keeping a close eye on that. Troy Terry news, because, again, he's to play. If he sits, Cutter gets elevated greatly. And Zegras, McTavish, Colangelo is fully correlated, 17K against the Sharks. It's all fine. DJ cursed Colangio. He stopped scoring after that run, and thus, has not been very useful. But, I mean, Zegras and McTavish have been pretty good. I'm just not playing Trevor Zegras at 5,600. I don't like watching him play hockey. I just don't. I don't know. There's not enough. There's just too much passing. There's too much passing. There's not enough creativity in the way that I like creativity. It's more just like, hey, I'm gonna, go through the loop-de-loop and, do a handstand and then make a pass, versus, the sort of plays that I guess suit my eye. So screw you, Trevor Zegras. Don't ruin Mason McTavish. But as long as you keep hitting him with cool passes, then I guess it's fine. Because, again, the Ducks are fixed. Greg Cronin, the absolute best. This team is so much fun to watch right now. The indexes. San Jose is a 7. It would be a 10, but it's the San Jose Sharks, much like the Nashville Predators, so who really cares? Anaheim is a 6 because of the Troy Terry news. This is a late slate hammer. This is definitely a game that if I have spots open, I am dialed in to the news here because I think it could change my lineup dramatically, depending on what comes out of either morning skate or pregame warmups for the Ducks. All right, 2 more games, Edmonton and Vegas. Edmonton looking okay. Vegas playing pretty well defensively over the last stretch, though. So better keep that in mind. Vegas looking a little bit better, but keep in mind that Edmonton has some injury situations that we will get to right now. Edmonton looking like Podkolzin, Draisaitl, Arvidsson, Skinner, Nugent, Hopkins, Hyman, Janmark, Henry, Connor Brown, Max Jones, Kapanen, and Corey Perry. You will notice no Connor McDavid. He will not return, at least for the next 2 games on the Edmonton schedule, which makes this weekend the next possibility for McDavid to play. I don't know about the status of Matthias Ekholm, and that is the one I am interested in. If Ekholm plays, my interest in the Knights is virtually 0. If he does not play, I think that's much better sign for the Knights, because Edmonton is just not good defensively without McDavid and Ekholm. I mean, it just is what it is. So on the Edmonton side, I mean, Leon Draisaitl just doing everything in his power. He had a bonanza of a game against Calgary. I think he had 9 shots and 2 goals. So, poor Flames. I mean, they deserve so much better in that game, but our MVP said, absolutely the fuck not. We are winning this game. Second line, Skinner, Nugent, Hopkins, Hyman is 16.5K. It is all power play 1 correlated. The Nuge, Hyman have both been pretty good as of late, but I don't know if I trust it. I'd rather just play a one-off Draisaitl myself. And Evan Bouchard is fine. Wallman, I think, had 4 blocks in the first 5 minutes of that Calgary game. So, he's going to kill penalties. He gets a roll boost with no Ekholm. So, either one of those 2, though, make perfect sense for a deep play, as does Darnell Nurse. 5,200. He's just a guy who can get you a double bonus in any game. So, I mean, yeah, it's a good price for someone who can do that, but it's also a fine price to say, yeah, I'm just going to play someone else. It's whatever. It's Darnell Nurse. You know the drill. For Vegas, Barbashev, Eichel, Stone, Dorofeyev, Waugh, Brandon Saad, Smith, Carlson, Olofsson. Tomas Hertl confirmed not playing. Alex Pietrangelo confirmed not playing. This means Noah Hannafin should keep the power play one job over Shea Theodore. How long that lasts, I have no idea, but he is paired up with Zach Whitecloud. The McNabb-Theodore pairing is playing basically all their minutes with the Barbashev-Eichel-Stone line. Just Shea Theodore is not doing anything right now. Coming off of the injury, which was a broken wrist, he's not shooting. I'm pretty concerned, but no power play job makes that almost, no top power play job makes that almost a guarantee that I do not make it to Shea Theodore builds. But yeah, I can't say I have a ton of interest in this. Sorry, I just screwed up the power plays when I updated the lines. All right. Because Eichel, Stone, Dorofeyev, Hannafin, William Karlsson will be the top power play unit. I just don't know what you're doing with it. If Ekholm's ruled out, you could get me to play some, call it Karlsson, Smith, Olofsson, maybe. Probably don't want to play Eichel going against Draisaitl. Maybe that's a play. I don't know. Whatever. It's all just a little pricey for lack of floors. I think there's other thin spots I like better. Which, by the way, I need DJ because he reads the Vegas lines for me and remembers to do things. Sharks Ducks is a 6.5 minus 180 for the Ducks, and Knights Edmonton is a 6.5 minus 162 for the Knights. Okay, why is that a 6.5? Why is it the exact same odds bet the over as the San Jose Anaheim clown show? Interesting. Okay. So yeah, ownership may come in here if you think that's sharp. Let's just call it Karlsson, Smith, and Noah Hannafin. Sure, why not? Fuckery index, 6 for Edmonton due to the aforementioned injuries. A 2 for Vegas. I don't think they're switching up anything versus what you see on the screen. All right, Winnipeg, LA, final game. Let's get into that one. With Winnipeg looking pretty solid, the Kings been good defensively, but Winnipeg's just been very, very good. And Winnipeg's also clobbering teams defensively. So LA does not have the greatest matchup with that in mind. A little bit interesting that it flips on the Corsies, where the LA matchup is slightly positive and the Winnipeg one is negative. So maybe relevant for you goalie hunters. Hellebuck plays, for example, looks like a decent spot for Connor Hellebuck. But starting things off with the road Jets, Connor, Scheifele, Iafallo, Appleton, Lowry, Nick Ehlers, Niederreiter, Nemesnikov, Cole Perfetti, Tanev, Barron, Kupari. Still no Neil Pionk. I'm not sure the status of him. I don't think he's back for this one, though. So that keeps Luke Shen in the top 6, top 4. That keeps Dylan Sandberg as like an actual DFS option. Sandberg and Adam Lowry are playing like all their minutes together at home. On the road, your guess is as good as mine. But this Appleton, Lowry, Ehlers line, the reason I've been interested in them is because they're so cheap at 11.9K, and Nick Ehlers is just so good. Like 5,800. The minutes are always a risk with him. And if he's playing with Adam Lowry, then I think the minutes are relatively safe. So that's the reason for my interest. Also, with no Velarde, Mason Appleton has been the power play 2 guy. He sort of slides into that role that Iafallo vacated. So 2,700 for an increased role in Appleton. You get 3,400 Lowry, who plays all the defensive minutes. He'll block shots. He's not adverse to shooting pucks. He's average, and he's 3,400 playing a bunch. It all centralizes around Nick Ehlers, who is 5,800, insanely good at hockey, and I think also is in a role increase playing with Lowry. So I just think that the reason for my interest here is that all 3 guys are genuinely upgraded versus their prior state, versus like obviously Kyle Connor gets worse because he has to drag around Iafallo instead of getting Gabe Velarde, who's awesome. So like I think Connor, Scheifele are fine. It's just not really what I'm looking to do. Like I'm trying to catch prices as they go up, not as they fall down, which it feels like that's what Winnipeg will be doing here. Nino, Nemesnikov, Perfetti is also cheap. They are power play 2 correlated in full. I'm just not that scared of it. It's 11.5K. I'd rather side with the Ealer side, who I just think rocks, and the other two are fine, versus I think the line 3 is all fine. So there's that. Colin Miller remains power play 2, 2,500. Just an option for you every time. I don't know what he needs to do for his price to go up, but pretty rare we get power play guys at that price. All right. On the LA side, Kuzmenko, Kopitar, Kempe, more to no Fogel. We're not sure about LaFerriere. If he draws in, it's in place of Malott alongside Byfield Fiala. They went 11-7 last game with LaFerriere out. Who knows what they do here? But I'm not interested in the spot because it's against Winnipeg, the best E team in the league, and the prices on LA don't really stand out to me in any specific way. So I have a 3 for the Winnipeg. I don't think anything's changing there, and a 4 for LA entirely because of LaFerriere, who really does not matter on this slate. So not a ton of fuckery there. All right. That gets us down to the end. Stoner giving you the 2-man parlay of the day. Cooley, Schwartz, points parlay. Gonna guess you mean Schmaltz. Different power plays, but they're different 5-on-5 lines. But okay, the Stoner says so. He's got it. Lock it in. My top stacks of the night. Interesting question. What are my top stacks of the night? Let's do some. Yeah, let's get a duck stack in. Let's say Troy Terry plays. Let's do Troy Terry, Olin Zellweger, and Ryan Strome. Ryan Strome at 4K. He's been terrible. Ryan Strome is terrible, but he's 4K against the Sharks, playing with 2 players who I really like. So can it be that bad? You tell me. Let's see. Second up. What will second up be? Oh, boy. Yeah, let's just go to Columbus. Columbus stack. We will be stacking Marchenko plus Werenski, and I guess add Sean Monahan. The price is fine. It works. They're going against a just awful Nashville team. Marchenko looks like he has juice again, so I'm happy to ride that one into the ground for the Russian sensation in Marchenko. Guarantee a few goals here. I am going to guarantee. Let's see. I think I did JJ Paterka last week, but we're going back to the well. But we're going to a different guy in that line. Jack Quinn. He's scoring. He's good again. Remember when he was the best puck pick you had to pick because there was a chance. There was a chance he took that power play 1 job and said, "Hey, I'm this good all season long with that job." But it took him 60 games of being awful, being healthy scratched, them trading away Dylan Cousins, and then him being put on the power play 2 for him to realize how to pass and shoot a puck. I don't know. But Jack Quinn, 4K, guaranteed goal against Ottawa. That leaves me 7,000 DraftKings dollars for my final guaranteed goal. Let's go with the Nazem Kadri on a back-to-back here. 6,800 Nazem Kadri. Again, I just think this Utah team is pretty weak. Don't have a ton of respect for them, certainly not in their current setup. And Nazem Kadri is a man possessed. So even on a back-to-back, I'm not scared. Kadri and Jack Quinn, guaranteed goals of this slate. All right. Anything else in the comments before we head out? Oh, well, we got a lot. I missed a lot. All right. So we're going to spend the last few minutes here just going through comments. If you got any questions, pop them in. I will close out the podcast though, because, I like to edit it. And so let's not keep this fluff in there. So from Doug, from DJ, thank you all for listening. Good luck on Tuesday. Podcast listeners, we will see ya. YouTube chat. What do we got? Sherlock says Calgary has been sneaking competitive lately. Yes, a very proper English there. British English, I should say. Calgary have rather than Calgary has. The beauties of differing languages. Sorry, of different lexicons, I should say. The stoner. I I I literally should have just signed off. My brain is broken. What are you saying there, bud? All right. There is a festival to celebrate someone. AF Ray. AF Ray. Where the hell did AF Ray come up? Garden City, Colorado. Maybe AF Ray, something there. All right. Not playing San Jose. Oh boy, you're a San Jose slappy too. Lacombe. Okay, Terry. Yep, you got it. Oh my god, thank you. Someone agrees. Someone in the industry told me Zegras, dude, parks in handicap parking and doesn't put the grocery cart away when done using. Yep. And we're the guy following Trevor around, putting the cart back in its bay where it belongs. That is not the reason DJ is not here. But I guess good to venture a guess. I'm more of a mint milkshake guy myself. I don't know if Carl's Jr. does that though. Tell him to put his PayPal link in Griff Discord. I will say, if you're literally looking to give DJ money on his Dub Club, you can sign up for the premium. You don't get anything with it, at least not yet, because there just isn't much to do with it. But if that's something where you're just like, hey, like you've won me, $1,000, here's $5, you can do that for a month and then just cancel it or whatever. And it works all the same. Some people have done that, and I don't really understand why, but I guess that's just betting culture. So, if you want to do that, that link will be in the description of the podcast and in previous videos. I don't think I added it to this video. My mistake. But yeah, DJ's Dub Club does actually have the ability to like give him money if you want. All right. Here we go. Garden City AFRA was a bootlegger, founded a city. So there you go. Okay. My brain was broken. And yes, appreciate you for keeping me on my toes in the chat, Stoner. So yeah, no. I love doing this. I love getting my thoughts together in one place. And I know at 5:30 when work's crazy and I'm shutting my laptop for the day, I'm gonna be like, if only there was someone I could go listen to who's thought about this slate for a few hours and has things put together and does nothing but talk in the way that I like to listen to DFS hockey podcasts. So ultimately, yes, I do this show for me, but also for everyone listening. I'm much appreciative of you giving me the chance to blab for an hour and 18 minutes about absolutely nothing. Thank you, Tim. And thank you to everyone who stuck around. So I'll close out once again. But again, the podcast listeners are already gone. So thank you all. I'm not sure what Thursday is going to look like. It honestly might depend on the slate sizing. If it looks pretty shitty, I might just skip it. I might opt to do Zamboni drafts or something else, or just nothing at all. I might get a head start on writing up like playoff preview stuff for my newsletter. I'm not sure. If you have ideas of what you want to see especially if the DFS slates are like 5K to first, I don't know if many people are, looking to spend an hour and 20 minutes listening to a podcast. And I don't know that I can do a podcast in 20 minutes. Like I'm sorry, guys. that's just not me. I talk about this shit and it goes on forever, I guess. So, yeah, TBD on Thursday, TBD on DJ being around Thursday. Again, see his tweet, but family stuff. And so keep him in your thoughts and his family as well. So that is where I will leave you guys. Yes, the Mayo Media Days were great. Yes, I very thankful to Pat for letting us do that. But it was time to go when we stopped doing it. I will say that. But great to know that Pat, I can always DM him if I need something, and he gives great advice. So anyway, that'll do it. Thank you all for hanging out. From Doug, from DJ, from myself. Have a good Tuesday, everybody, and we will see ya.